Hello and welcome back to the Finkelstein-Neuwirth show.
Today, we are very excited to be joined by a special guest, Chris Gronkowski, former NFL fullback. He spent time with the Dallas Cowboys, Denver Broncos, Indianapolis Colts, and spent some time down with the San Diego Chargers. On top of all his major football accomplishments in the NFL, Chris and his brothers, I'm sure you know them, most notable Rob Gronkowski, have been seen on Shark Tank and promoting their own company, Ice Shaker. So we're thrilled to be joined with Chris today.
What's up?
Hello, how are you?
What's going on, guys?
Not much. How are you doing?
Good, man. I'm good.
Thank
Yeah,
you very much for taking the time to be with us.
absolutely.
I love the background there. Mine's not as real, I guess.
Yeah, I had the green screen, but man, yeah, mine would come through fuzzy like that too. So, yeah, so sometimes I just use the natural background. Russell, what's up, man?
Yeah, not much. Thanks for being here.
Really awesome, man.
So we have a bunch that we'd love to learn. I mean, we really we found you on TikTok pretty much. I think just as I'm sure a bunch of people have. So we obviously know a lot about your experiences in the NFL. Um, so I guess first we want to know what some of your biggest challenges were. I mean, we know you went undrafted back in 2010, and we know you had a whole family pretty much in the NFL. So what were some of your biggest challenges, as a player?
For sure, man. So we good? We recording? We
Yeah, we're
starting this
good.
off? Let's go. Man, biggest challenges as a player. I was the shortest, smallest in the family. So for me, I never thought I really had a chance to play in the NFL. My challenges were first off speed. Right out of high school, it's hard to go anywhere without having speed. So it was actually something my dad put us into and got us some speed training that really helped me get to that next level. Other challenges, man, were just and it's a grind. It's a tough position to play as a fullback, and each and every day it's you're going to work and you got to bring it. As an undrafted free agent, you can literally be cut any day of the week. If you're not on the roster on Wednesday, you're not getting paid. There's no guaranteed money. So, man, the hardest part was really just the stress of handling it. Knowing that if I don't do well today, if one thing goes wrong, I could be on the streets tomorrow.
Yeah, your mindset heading in. You get signed, you're undrafted, you get signed. Do you think I could be an impact player right away? What is your heading in? What are your thoughts?
For me heading in, undrafted free agent, it really was, let's try to make an impression. I got one shot. This is my only opportunity. Really was thinking more, I'll probably end up on practice squad. In 10 years, an undrafted free agent hadn't made the Dallas Cowboys roster. So for me, the goal was, hey, let's show out. Let's do the best I can. At the very least, let's at least try to get on a practice squad.
Yeah, so we spoke about earlier, and I mean it's pretty obvious with your name that you had some siblings in the league both before and after you. So what was it kind of like knowing that? I know all of you were pretty much on the offensive side of things, but what was it like, playing against knowing your sibling was on that other sideline?
Man, so it only happened for me once when I got to play against Rob when he was with the Patriots. I was with the Broncos. But man, it's just motivation. If you want to impress someone, it's always going to be a family member, right? So you got to go all out. You always want to win against your brother because that's bragging rights for the rest of your life. So that was one of the funnest games you could play in. It was one of the best games I had as well because man, I wanted to show out. I wanted to show up and I wanted to impress. So I think playing with your brothers or against them is some of the highest form of motivation you can get. And I think it really helped us succeed because we all grew up playing together on the same team as well.
Do
Yeah,
you? I'm not sure myself. Do you remember who won that game? Was it you or?
Yeah, man. We had a nice lead, and the Patriots came back. It was in
Uh,
Foxborough. Ended up beating us at the end of the game.
all right. Well, I'm sure you said the experience was there, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, there, man. It was one of those games you remember forever. And every time I ran by the sideline, Rob would be talking trash the whole time. It was pretty funny.
That's awesome.
um, you only play fullback. Not the most exciting position, but who are some of the players, toughest guys that you had to go up against?
Yeah, man. There was some beast out there, and In my first game, I was going against Urlacher and Lance Briggs, and that's as an undrafted free agent rookie. Those were guys that I looked up to, and Lance Briggs went to he was an Arizona legend, so I heard all about him when I was at U of A, and it was pretty cool going against him the first game. But man, really the guys that brought the heat for the most part. Lance Briggs definitely brought the heat. That was kind of like a welcome to the NFL. But the older guys that have been around for a while, they're not in there just smashing heads anymore. So, when you go against Urlacher when he's 15 years in, he's not going to come in the hole and try to absolutely demolish you. He's coming in and he's doing his job and fitting up and moving on to the next play. So some of the big hits would come from the rookies, man, guys that were in there trying to really make a name for themselves. And the one guy that I just couldn't block, it wasn't even fair against, was DeMarcus Ware. So as a rookie in Dallas, when I had to go against him in practice, it was just basically impossible to block the guy. Super strong, big frame, and then was super quick as well. So you wanted to bring the heat against him, you do a little Olay kind of deal, and you wanted to muscle up with him. He was so strong that he could just out leverage me all day. So that was really frustrating trying to block someone like DeMarcus Ware.
Just thinking back to your first year there, was there anyone really on the Cowboys roster that kind of helped you and took you in and motivated you and kind of gave you the words of wisdom that you needed?
Yeah, man. So that really came from the rookie class that I came in with. I was lucky enough to partner up and roommate with my roommate from college, from Maryland, before I transferred to Arizona, and his name was Phil Costas. So I have his jersey on my wall still because it was one of those things on day one. We made a pact. We're like, hey, man, we're both undrafted. We're both here for one reason. That's to make the team. And like I said earlier, a free agent rookie hadn't made it in 10 years, and we both ended up making the roster that year. So, we pushed each other to the limit every day. Everything we did was all about, being the best version of ourselves. And you live through a moment like that and you become friends forever as well. So we still talk all the time. And it's just one of those friendships that, you'll never forget because you just battled it out together.
That's awesome. And so obviously you didn't spend your whole career down in Dallas. You moved around with the Broncos and the Colts and even some time with the Chargers. How would you describe, moving from city to city? I know it's probably a big transition, getting up, packing up and moving and living in a new city, especially playing for a new team. What were some of the challenges with that and what was the experience like?
Yeah, I mean, the challenge really comes when you get traded out of nowhere. And the next day you're actually in a new city. So when I went from Indianapolis to Denver, it was a tap on the shoulder after practice, and it was, hey, you're going to Denver tonight. So definitely a change. They take care of you. They bring all your stuff down. But when you're playing ball, it doesn't really matter where you live. That's pretty much the last thing you care about. So you're not trying to go out. You're not wondering, what kind of nightlife is there, anything like that. You're literally there to play, and that's it. So, people ask me, how was Indy, how was Denver, stuff like that. In the off season, I had some fun, but for the most part, most guys go back to where they're from anyway. So, in the off season, you'll go back to your hometown or wherever your house is currently, and you don't necessarily always stay where you're playing at either. So, man, when you're there, it's all business, so it's not really that big of a deal.
So you grew up, we said this before, but with 4 other brothers, all of them, including you, played professional sports. What was that experience like?
Man, this is called mayhem. I don't know how my parents did it. You put 5 boys in a house and you spread us all about 2 years apart and you feed us like crazy. It just became a breeding ground for competition. And that's what it was. All day, every day was a competition, no matter what we did, from eating, backyard baseball. We played, games in the basement. It didn't really matter what it was. It was a competition. And it really bred us to, I think, become better athletes. We just pushed each other. We always tried to be better than the older brother. And, when you're in that scenario each and every day, you're going to become better at whatever you're doing.
So growing up, if someone were to ask you to describe the Gronkowski household in one word, I know you mentioned mayhem earlier. Is that the word you would go with, or?
For sure, man. I mean, it was so bad that there was no furniture in the family room besides a rocking chair and a couch. And that was it, because we had end tables and stuff like that. They all got broken. There's no pictures hanging on the wall because they all got broken. Everything became a weapon at some point. So my parents just said, hey, that's it. Like we're not going to decorate. We're not going to do anything. We got a couch and we got a rocking chair for the baby, and that's it. That's kind of how the household was growing up.
Wow.
Well,
So, so going into your career in the NFL, it didn't come easy. Obviously, I know you battled many injuries over the course of time. What ultimately led to you at the end of the day calling it quits and saying, okay, I've played enough in the.
Yeah. So for me, I was let's see, I was in my fourth year. I got everything I came from it. I never thought I'd make it to 3 where you get vested, where you get pension, 401k, annuities, health benefits, all that once you hit that 3 years. So for me to hit the 3-year mark was a huge milestone. I never thought I'd get. So that was huge. But what really ended up pushing me out was injuries. And I think that's with 90% of the guys. I was in camp with the Chargers. I had a really good shot at making the team. You're probably going to make the team when you're starting on every special teams as well as a fullback. And that was the position I was in. So it looked like I was going to make the team. In practice, I got rolled up on by Ronnie Brown, fell on my ankle, high ankle sprain, and the second year hurt. You become damaged goods, and they got to move on to the next guy. So was released then with an injury settlement. And once you're gone, it's hard to get back in. I tried to get back. Went to Miami. I ran a 40-yard dash. I tore my hamstring 3 steps in, and it was either have surgery or live your life like a normal human being after that, and just let it scar down. So at that point, I made the decision to move on, and it was pretty easy for me because I had a business that my wife started that was doing really well, and we had a really good income stream coming in at that point. So for me, it was a pretty easy transition, whereas most guys struggle for years sometimes trying to figure out what they want to do next.
Yeah, and you just said you started a business with your wife. Was that something you always had an interest in? You obviously did marketing and everything with your brothers. Was that something that you always thought you wanted to do even before football, or was that something that you figured out after you retired?
Definitely, it was just kind of a spur of the moment opportunity kind of thing. I went to school for accounting. I was really good with math. I got one question wrong on the SAT. So in the math section after going on an official visit to the University of Buffalo and partying all night. So 790 out of 800, I'm still proud of it after staying out till about 4 a.m. in the morning. So math came easy for me. I thought I was going to be accountant. I went to school, got an accounting degree. I was one of 2 kids on the football team in the business school. And I said, hey, I know I can go be a CPA and make some good money leaving. And then I really had this game plan to do players' taxes. NFL players, it's the first time they file for the most part. They have no idea what they're doing. You have to file in each and every state you play in as well. So it really was a good opportunity for me to say, hey, I'm a former player. I've done it all myself while I played. I know all the opportunities you have with taxes. Let me do it for you. And could have made some good money doing that. So that was kind of the path I thought I was going to go down. I'm really glad I didn't, because it would have been a lot of paperwork and definitely something I don't like doing. And then this opportunity with my wife starting a business, really because I went to 3 teams in 3 years and she didn't want to find a job and go out and interview every single year. So she found a way to work from home and it just took off. So jumped on the opportunity, and it was such a good opportunity that I did that for 5 years until it led into my own passion of ice shaker.
So just before you, we want to know a little bit more on Ice Shaker, but if it weren't for, the business that you came into once you retired, I know you said you have an interest in math and stuff like that. Do you see yourself, if you didn't get into the Ice Shaker business, could you see yourself in like a front office position with the NFL team?
Man, I don't think so. The coaches and the staff, man, it's a tough job and it's super stressful. I give props to the coaches, man. I don't know how they do it. A lot of times they sleep at the complex as well. College is even worse because they're off season. They're recruiting high school kids that, think they're the best in the world. And, at any point could decommit as well. And that's a really tough job, but, yeah, it's super stressful. In the game's a beatdown, man. They call it a game. It's really a full-time job. That's extremely stressful as well. So once you leave, sometimes you just want to get away, and I don't think many guys come back to those positions because, it's time to move on.
And just your last comment there, once you leave, most kind of tend to stay away. We know, obviously, with your brother Rob, he left and then he returned years after to go to Tampa with Tom Brady. Did he consult the family at all, like the brothers back in that mayhem house? Did he consult any of you? Do you know what kind of his experience with that was like? Can you speak on that at all?
Man, so I really didn't know it was coming. Yeah, when you still are one of the best at that position, there's always kind of that what if. What if I go back, we win another one, and what if I don't? Maybe I had two more in me, and you kind of just, once you leave, that opportunity is gone forever, and you got to live with that decision. So I think in the back of his mind, he was thinking about it, and it really all depended on a lot of things had to really come into play, and one of them was definitely his health. Really had to bounce back and make sure he was 100%. So, no, it was his decision. He made it on his own. And really all the way up until the day that he made that decision, he wasn't sure if he was going to, or if he was even going to pass a physical. So he didn't tell us until after he passed the physical.
That's awesome. I'm sure that was a nice surprise, and having someone in the family out there to root for.
Oh yeah, man. It's fun watching games when you know someone that's playing.
Yeah, for sure.
So you were on Shark Tank with your brothers to promote Ice Shaker, and you signed a deal with Mark Cuban and A-Rod. How did that experience influences your productivity and sales?
Man, Shark Tank is the real deal for sure. Everything you hear about is true. It's real money. It's a real investment. It's a real pitch. You're really in the room for about an hour telling basically your life story to these sharks. And the sales are real too, man. We exploded. We went from 80,000. We were about 6 months in. We had about 80,000 in sales to over 3 million in the next 12 months. So it's real, but also what came with it was a lot of work. You 20X your company overnight, the work also 20Xs. And really at that time, it was a side hustle for me. So that's when the business really began. And that's really when I had to figure out how to run a real business instead of just a side hustle. So I was shipping product out of this room I'm in right now, which is upstairs in my house. And, had to really quickly find a way to scale a business.
So we spoke about earlier your challenges in the NFL. I don't know, what would you say is a bigger challenge? Some of the challenges you've experienced with Ice Shaker and your company from a business side point, or challenges in the NFL? Or are they two different beasts in their own ways?
I would definitely say that they're different, just because one is a lot more physical than the other one. So, NFL wise, you're pushing your body to limits that you just never thought you could reach each and every day. So, just being able to go out there and take hits each and every day in camp when you're just so beat up, and even in games, you're playing pretty much hurt almost the entire season. Something's hurt, something's bothering you pretty much no matter who you are. So it's definitely a physical grind. There's a lot of mental to that as well, but physical toughness is definitely a huge key where, with business, it's more about mental. It's really a problem solving game. How do I solve this problem? And, and it's always going to be something you've never done before, never thought you would be doing, and you just got to find a way to get it done. So completely different, but at the end of the day, it's all about teamwork. And that's probably one of the biggest things that transfers over. If you want to have a winning company, if you want to win championships, it's really all about the team and putting the right people in the right places and everybody working together to achieve one goal. So that really transferred over, and that's what we're building at Ice Shaker. It's all about the team if we want to get to that next level. And that's really what we've been able to accomplish so far. And we continue to add the pieces that we need to get to the next levels.
Did you keep any of like your ties back with the NFL and incorporate those into your company at all, like with any former players or teams or media outlets like that?
So man, I mean, I keep in contact with some of the guys, but we haven't hired anything like that, or really used contacts from the NFL days. But it definitely helps walking into a room and saying that you're a former player. You definitely get respect. It helps you get into the room. But after that, anyone can get in using that. But if you don't deliver with a great product, a great service, and really do what you say you're gonna do, then it doesn't matter at the end of the day. So it's a great way to get in, but you better be able to back up what you're saying, or it's not going to be successful.
Sure, yeah.
So with your social media during quarantine, people obviously went more online. TikTok blew up during that March, April period. You were posting way well before that, but your views really took off in March and that April area. What changes, if at all, did you make to your social media strategy, to your posts? To,
Yeah, man, that was definitely a game changer for me. It was really later than that, than April. I think it was more maybe July when I really started to figure it out. But like you said, my first 100 posts were maybe 5,000 views per video. I think I had about like 14,000 followers maybe in June, July area, and really came down to a podcast that I did. I had my own podcast called Gronked Up. I had a kid on who was a TikTok expert, and he came on and pretty much challenged me and said, "Hey, he had 750,000 followers or something like that, and he's like, I'm a college dropout. I had no name. I just kept posting and figured out what works for me and how to bring value to people. So challenged me on the show. I said, man, well, let's see what I can do. So after that show, the next 30 days, I really started to focus in on what I thought could bring value to people. And once I started bringing value instead of just trying to post, stuff that was more entertaining and just like kind of viral style, I just really said, hey, let's post stuff that brings value. And that's it. Hey, what can I tell people that they'll be interested in, they could learn from? And I went with that routine instead. And once I did, it just exploded. So went from like, I think it was 14 or 18,000 followers to about 350K in a 30-day period, and was able to reach like 50 million people a week or something like that was what my videos got up to at one point. So haven't been posting as much, but the potential is still there whenever I do it. So we're super busy with Ice Shaker right now and the holiday season, so I haven't been able to do as much. But I started to hit a couple last week, and the same thing. As long as you're bringing value and you're giving something to people that they can use or benefit from or learn from, you're going to do well.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, you have your platform now, and I know back in your playing days, social media wasn't nearly as popular as it is now. Could you think and put yourself in the shoes of a player now? How important is, a media platform such as this to use and share, your opinions and beliefs?
Well, I could tell you this, man. When you're playing, it's pretty much a one-way focus, and that's literally just on the game, on your job, and that's to play football. So I can sit here and say, every player should go and post on social. And I could tell you, I wish my brother posted more, and I wish he posted more content as well. But at the end of the day, I know what it's like to be there, and I know how I felt when I was doing it. And it was the last thing I wanted to do, because you're focused on football. You're not worried about, posting and having 1,000 people tell you suck at fantasy football. You're all about the game and what's next, and what your job is for that day. So guys that take advantage of it, they are very, very successful from it. You're going to get the most following, and you're going to set yourself up for the rest of your life. Because if you engage while you are a big time player, fans, that's the ultimate respect to a fan. So they're going to really appreciate it. They're going to love you forever, and they're going to help you after you transition out as well. But when you try to do it afterwards, it's kind of it's a little too late for the most part. You could still do it, but you're not going to be as successful. You're not going to grow your following as fast, and it's going to be a lot harder. So, yeah, for the most part, I would say for a guy to try, maybe one a week or something after a game or your off day, and have it be a little bit more personal about, what actually happened. Go over a quick play or something like that in the game, or, just interact with a couple fans or do a Q&A or something like that. So that's what I would recommend for players. Definitely don't let it take over your day and all you think about and all you do, but, have at least, an hour or two opportunity for fans to engage with you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing a lot of the younger players in the league now. Some of the rookies starting their own brands and channels. Like up in Pittsburgh, I've seen a lot of content from Chase Claypool, who's kind of building his own brand, and all around the league.
Got Juju there to teach him, man.
Yeah, him in that locker room is yeah. But that's awesome.
So So the Bucks, they're playing well this year. You think they got a chance to come out of the NFC?
Man, it's tough to say. I think the team that's the healthiest at the end of the year always has a good chance. I still feel like they're figuring things out. So, you have a season, a whole new offense, and then you have an off season where you can't throw together. It takes time, and we've seen that. And I still don't think they're on the same page. A lot of the receivers, you see some of these throws from Brady, and you think like, and everyone thinks, where's he throwing that to? But it's not the throw; it's the miscommunication between him and the receiver, and the defense that they're running. So a lot of people like to point fingers at Brady, but really it's still just this miscommunication. They're not on the same page. So I think if that all gels at the end of the year, you're going to have a really good team that's really hard to beat. And you see some teams do this at the end of the year where they have a so-so season and then they just make these incredible runs because they're finally clicking, but they're also finally healthy at the same time as well. So they've been pretty banged up. A lot of the receivers have been struggling. But if everything comes together, man, you never know what's going to happen in the NFL. So I think there's definitely still a chance, and we'll see what happens, especially with COVID too. I mean, that's like the ultimate question mark as well. At any point, something can happen where a team loses a couple players.
Brady always seems to find a way, and especially the Super Bowl's down in Tampa, so that would kind of be cool to see Tampa playing in Tampa.
It's never happened, man. Never happened before.
I've always wondered this question from a former player who's especially someone who's played around the league. Right now, how would you characterize yourself as a football fan? Do you root for one team? Do you root for your brother's team? Where does your focus go, especially when you've played for three great organizations?
Yeah, so for me, obviously going to always cheer for family first. So I'm cheering for Bucks. I'm watching the Bucks games. But really overall, once you go to a bunch of teams and once you play, you realize how hard it is, how much work's put into it. And you have a lot of respect for the guys that are doing it, especially after you leave, man. Once you look back, you're like, wow, how did I do that every day? That was such a grind. So the respect's there, man. Every team has great players. Just because a team doesn't win a game doesn't mean each and every player isn't, one of the best players in the world on their team. They just haven't figured it out yet. So I respect every team. Any team could beat anyone any day, and you see it happen every year. But I'm not gonna say I hate a team or cheer against a team for the most part, unless they're playing my bro. But just really have respect for everyone. And I watch a lot of games. I'll start to lean more towards the hometown teams for sure that are in these areas. But also gotta root for my hometown team, the Buffalo Bills as well too, man. That's the team we grew up watching our entire life. So I'm pretty spread out, but definitely respect each and every team.
So I've seen your TikTok comparing your weight now to your playing weight. Is there any thought of you shooting up again, coming back, or
a reunion with maybe your brother?
Hey man, if the entire team gets COVID, maybe I'll have a chance to come back. That's about the only chance.
You want to play quarterback for the Broncos?
No, man. I saw that. You realize really quickly how good an NFL quarterback is once someone else goes in there that hasn't played since high school, or I'm not sure if he played in college or not. But man, it's a lot more challenging than people think. And no, man, it's the whole sport and training for it is completely different. So I get a ton of comments about it because I'm in great shape now and I look good, but looking good and playing good is completely opposite. The guys that are super shredded and low body fat usually doesn't help. You're more prone to injuries. You don't really have that cushion to take a hit, and you're also training in a way to really just shred up instead of perform. So completely different on how you look versus how you play. And when I played, I was about 30 pounds heavier. I was big. I was super strong, but if you looked at me, you might think I was, kind of a little chunky and out of shape. But that was really when I was the strongest and in the best shape for football. It was really all about just being explosive. You had to be quick but powerful at the same time, and that's all NFL training is for the most part. You're playing for 15 seconds, and then you're taking a 45-second break, and that's all you train for. So, there's ways after you're done to really lose that fat, and then all the muscle's still there. So, you're able to shred up and look pretty good afterwards if you do it the right way, and that's what I did. But man, it's definitely a whole different mindset. I could never go back. I mean, I've been out for 7 years, and even a year out, you know, you sit there and say, wow, how did I do this last year? Yeah, that was a beatdown. So completely different training, and you got to be in the best shape of your life. So there's definitely no chance I would ever be able to go back and perform.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time with us. We definitely have learned a lot from you on social media, on this interview alone, and we wish you the best of luck with your company, and good luck to Rob in Tampa.
Yeah, baby. Awesome, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, Max. Thanks, Russell.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Have
Stay
a good one.
safe.
You too.
You too.
Take care, guys.
Bye.